Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Some Random. I am your host, Sriracha Flash. With me today, a man that needs no introduction. If you've seen any part of the Midwest or Chicago scene, you've seen his face. If you've seen any part of Red Bull Chicago, you've also seen his face and heard his beautiful voice. One of the leaders behind the Midwest movement, one of the great writers for Red Bull, the wonderful, the beautiful Saint Cola. Cola, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well after that kind of introduction. I can't be doing bad at all. Not after that. I'm gonna tell you right now, that was perfect. Damn, you got me all hyped up over here.
I try to get the guests all hyped up, as we start the show. Gotta bring high energy to get this thing going.
Right, I feel it.
You never want to start these things flat, because as soon as you start this flat, the whole interview goes flat, and before you know it, 30 minutes in, I'm bored, and we're gonna start talking about like Guilty Gear or something like that. Terrible.
We'll get to that in a second. I'm sure.
yeah, that's coming up. Don't worry, folks. I know you're waiting with bated breath. What two guys from the Midwest have to say about Guilty Gear? So anyway, Ryan, why don't you tell the people who the hell are you?
So I am a content creator, commentator. I do a wide range of things. I guess I'm a player too at the same time. And I just love supporting my local scene and doing whatever I can to help grow the FGC. Like that's my biggest goal. At the end of the day, with everything I do is just to help grow the scene.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've put in a bunch of work, like supporting. Like we have on the screen right now, BJ Callisto's Twitch, who normally streams all of your guys' locals on Monday nights from Chicago. You've been a big driving force through that. You've done a bunch of team tournament stuff. Well, not a bunch, but you guys did the team tournament stuff not too long ago, where you had a wonderful OCV while you were commentating.
It was a little different, yeah. I do have to give props, though, that, even though I'm involved in some of that stuff, it is a lot of the drive from, shout outs to the people like RJ, Spin Infinite, Seth, our Ginto boy, and, the Ignite crew that comes through, like BG Callisto, or just normally Callisto, I guess it would be. Those people really put everything together and are really the driving force. Like, I'm involved, but those guys come out every single... Let me tell you something. These dudes come out with this heavy equipment, Callisto especially, with esports equipment, like level equipment, the kind of stuff that you see with CPT, TWT, and stuff like that. He comes out to the Ignite locals on Mondays, almost every Monday that he can, and sets up. Same with RJ, and they set up these streams so that I have a place, and other players have a place to practice their craft and have these great moments and events and things like that. So it's partly me, but it's a lot on them.
Well, look, I know that they do a lot, and shout outs to them, much appreciated to what they do. But I like to say that you are one of the driving forces behind the scene because you do a super important part. The commentary is a big deal. Like that can make or break a stream. For if people want to watch. Oh, hold on. We're having like an issue right now.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the best part of me doing my own show is that I'm awesome and wonderful and professional at it. And oh god. Oh, let me do this. Hey, sorry everyone. Sorry. The best part is at least this will be Yeah, there we go. You know what? I wanted to... there we go. I wanted to come out high energy on this, feel really good, and then I fucked it up.
That's no big deal, man. It's no big deal at all.
Yeah, so I've got my stream saying I'm live. There we go. Hey, awesome. Are we good now? I think we're good. I think we did the whole damn thing. All right, I'll just cut that part out. No worries. No edits on this show, I promise.
We'll go full force.
Full force. All right, there. Fix the problems. Anyway, as I was saying, one of the driving forces behind like watching a fighting game is having a good commentator. I know specifically a lot of people in the FGC that are like, if I don't see someone that I know or recognize on stream, or at least that like can carry me through a match, commentary wise, like by seeing James Chen or Ultra David or Sajam or Tasty, if they don't see those guys or hear those guys, they kind of don't really care for the stream. And you do, like I said, you do a wonderful job, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate. I honestly, anytime that if there's at least one person out there that at least likes it, kind of like that makes me feel like I'm doing at least a decent job. That that I want to continue doing it. Like there's like one or two people that are like, oh, this is kind of good. Then it makes me want to keep going. Because man, commentary is hard, man. Commentary is some difficult stuff, bro.
Dude, like, tell me about it. I did my first commentary this weekend. I was tripping over my feet. I kept talking over people. Got lost sometimes. It's terrible. Just terrible.
It's probably harder for you. I mean, in general, because you're commentating mirror matches, which is already inherently difficult. You got two characters where you know what they do, and you know how they kind of respond, but you don't really commentating mirror matches is like its own problem in and of itself.
Yeah,
and you really got to know like really really weird specifics, and it's harder to commentate that than like, oh, Abigail's fighting Colleen. Like I know what he does, against her in this matchup or specific things. Like so that already you put yourself at like extreme European difficulty right out of the gate. Like you're like, no easy, no normal. I don't need any of that. I'm going right to the highest one.
I'm a fucking dive right in. It was so bad. Like I caught myself like referring to things that had happened like 10 seconds ago, and I was like, oh well, that's gone. And then like referring to one thing, and at the exact same time, I think while I was on stream, it was like A4 Rob and Tasty Blue, and A4 Rob had done something which Tasty Blue did the almost exact same thing like immediately afterwards, but his got blocked. I think it was back heavy punch. And as he said it, I was like, oh, back heavy punch lands. And then, like, but at that time, Tasty Blue had done it, and it, like, got blocked. So I just sit there like an idiot. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I just gotta sit there and hold that. Like, that sucks. That's not fun. But no, other than that, it was, like I said, I watch a lot of locals, Matchstick Melee puts on a good one for Columbus. And, I do watch quite a few, but you are always one of the ones that I'm like, hey, Monday night, like, the online locals going on, like, I'll throw on, like, Callisto's stream and stuff like that and, like, watch what you guys have going on, too, because it's always good to hear your voice and shit. Like, it's always good to, like, see that the Chicago scene, probably one of the stronger scenes we have in the Midwest. Like, no joke. It's, like, Chicago, Minnesota, and then Detroit, and I think in that order.
Yeah, I mean, like, we definitely have... We have Just a Kid. We have, this is someone that people don't really know about, but I'm sure if he starts to travel, they'll start to know about him. His name is Wish Punish. He actually almost defeated John Takeuchi at Combo Breaker and would have made it had the CA killed. Like, he was on the precipice. It was like just the gut scaling kicked in, and it just didn't clinch it. And then a Scrabble situation happened after, and he lost. But to get him to that precipice, like, he definitely has, like, the potential and talent. And we have people like Classical, who's on Street Fighter League, and not in the Chicago scene, proper, but like a little bit outside is Dual Kevin and Rob TV, all stuff like that. The Midwest obviously is just really powerful scene, lots of strong people, and some of those dudes come out and play at the Monday scene when they can. And for Dual Kevin, like guys like him, it's a long drive, but he makes it happen when he wants that practice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have had everyone from like Underscore showing up out there.
Yep.
We've seen Rob TV out there. We've seen, like I said, Dual Kevin, and like it just seems like every week you guys have like the Capcom All Stars seem to power through. Like, yeah, we're gonna roll through the Chicago scene, which I think speaks more to the strength of the Midwest than I guess the strength of, the Street Fighter players. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, we just have a lot of we're the Midbest for a reason. Like, we have these people, and they roll strong. And I think you could put. You could put anyone from the Midwest. Like, you could take a top 5 from the Midwest, and you could beat anyone top 5, East Coast, West Coast, down South. Like, I will put money on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you look at the players and, like, how they've only recently been able to travel and really been focusing on the practice and stuff like that. And they've been growing so much that it's crazy. Like, Dual Kevin in general, he's probably the best player in the Midwest. Like, he's got the most CPT points. He's been making the most waves. You can't deny that guy is the best. And to see his growth in the past couple of months has been just wild. And I'll tell you one thing. Like, I witnessed his growth like firsthand. Like, I tell the story all the time. But at SoCal Regionals last year, he came and stayed with me, and he was like walking around in his fucking work shoes. He was like. He beat someone in a money match in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Then took that money, that $100, tried to find Punk and money match him. He ended up money matching him and lost, but that just shows you how hungry he is to get better. Like, he used a money match from one game to another so he could just improve. Like, he's got the drive. So,
yeah, I mean, it's in him. You can see that dude has some passion. When he made his comeback at CEO, which was probably one of the hypest moments I've ever seen in my entire life.
For sure.
I thought the roof was gonna come off of that place purely from his fucking like explosion of energy. Like, that dude gives, in the nicest way I can say it, that dude gives a fuck. Like, he cares, man, and like it means something to him to do well. And I know he ended up taking, I think, 5th at CEO, but 5th in a stacked ass talent pool,
right,
with the bracket that he had, on top of just having come off done Street Fighter League a couple of months before. So his name is out there, and like it's really good for him, and like everything that he's done, like it was an awesome moment for him, and I can only hope success for that dude's future.
He's incredible, and he deserves it, you know. And this is one of those things where, like, I actually did an interview with him probably about a month and a half ago, because someone put up the question like, how did he get so good so fast? And I think what he did is something. It's like a path that maybe everyone can travel, because it's not really complicated, but it takes like the endurance to do it, right? I think actually getting good at fighting games isn't that difficult. It's sticking with it. It's sticking with your regimen. It's sticking with your practice, your training, all that stuff. That's what makes it hard. Because when I asked him, like, how do you get good at fighting games? He's like, or how did he get good so fast? He was like, yeah, I played Marvel, and that helped me with my reactions and stuff. He got beat up in Marvel for years, but he learned like defense from that, right?
Right.
And then he's also like, I'm always in the lab. I'm always training. I'm always trying to like learn new things, and I try out new things at tournaments and stuff like that. He's always like having conversations about the game. These are all things anyone can really do, but they don't, right? But that's what shows you, like, that's what it takes to be a good player, is that you have to stay on this path. Things that seem so simple, when you're doing them constantly, it's a lot of work, a lot of practice, it's a lot of effort you got to put in, and not everybody's cut out for it. But Dual Kevin is the type of dude that is, you know?
Yeah, and that dude's a real inspiration. And like, I don't know, just really going after it, and like, I don't know, really going after it and showing like what just hard work can do. Like, it's not all talent, right? It's preparation plus skill equals luck, and that dude fucking does it, and he does it very, very well. But look, I love Dual Kevin. I love the Midwest scene. I love the Chicago FGC. But fuck all them right now. This show's about St. Cola. So, my dude, tell me, where did this whole path start? What was your first fighting game?
So my very first fighting game was, okay, this was like when I was like probably 5 or 6 years old. There was a barber shop that I had that I went to like, every other month or so. And it was like Salt and Pepper or something like that. I forgot the name. I just remember 2 of the barbers being named Salt and Pepper. And then there was like a third one. I never got a haircut from him, so I never learned his name. Sorry, buddy. But on one of the cabinets, they had Samurai Showdown. Like, this is like the sick, like, sword fighting game. It's all bloody and stuff. And I'm like, man, this is cool. And I'm sitting here with Howell, and I'm just doing like, just throwing up the C button, and I'm like hitting people with tons of damage. And I'm like, this is wild. And I fell in love with fighting games from then on. And then like they started bringing in more cabinets of different games at this barbershop. They had Time Killers. They had Mortal Kombat. They eventually got like just weird offshoot games. And then they had Street Fighter. And then that's when it went from like, I really like fighting games. And I love them, but I'm teetering the love and the like area, and then I really fell in love when I hit Championship Edition. I played 2, but man, Championship Edition was really good because my boy Sagat was in.
Yeah.
And I went, that was it. He was so cheap, he was so powerful, man.
I think that's about where I started in the Street Fighter series, was in Championship Edition. Because like that, I think I was like maybe 3 or 4 when I started playing Championship Edition. Like on my Genesis, like a baby. Yeah. And like I think that was my first one. And then the new Challengers is the one I put the most time into, I think, because that had T-Hawk, and he was my boy for the longest time. I was so happy when he got put in 4. But T-Hawk was something else. But I can only imagine like I live in like Hickville. Like I'm the one dark person up here, so like there's like 3,000 people that are white and then me. So we don't have cool shit like a barbershop with an arcade in it.
Right, yeah. And that was something that's back in the day, too. Like, you'll never get that kind of thing, anymore, which kind of sucks, but...
Yeah, I mean, that sounds
dope
as fuck. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's as soon as you were like, there was a barbershop called Salt and Pepper, I was like, all right, I'm in. I don't know what that's to do with arcades, but I'm in. Then they were like, then they had like Samurai Showdown on there, and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I would never leave that place. Oh, man.
It was so sick. It made haircuts, because my dad would go there and he would talk all the time. He's a talkative person like me, or I guess I'm like him. But like he would spend hours in there like talking to them. And I'm like, cool, just hit me up with some quarters, and I'm good to go.
Right.
I'm gonna play some Samurai Showdown.
Oh man, that the most I got was like I'd go to the barbershop with my grandpa, and there would be like an Archie comic or something like that. And like that's the fun I got to have while fucking grandpa sat in there talking to Jerry and Penny. Like, god damn, drastically different childhoods. That is awful.
You have to flip through the same comic over and over again. You're like, I read this page 7 times.
Yeah,
but,
I'm so fucking tired of Jughead and his bullshit. That's about where I was at. I was so tired of him. Fuck Riverdale.
Damn.
Look, I can say it because it's technically like where I'm from. So like it's ambiguous. Could be either one. Oh shit. Well, so Samurai Showdown and the barbershop got you started on this path. But what was like the first video game that you got into or like created the nerd that we have today?
The first video game that I really, really got into, I think, man, I can't remember. I don't know what my very first, because like when I was a kid, I started really early because my grandma, my late grandmother, God rest her soul, she was big into video games. She had Ultima, she had like the first Diablo, everything. She was so big into video games that I would always go over and just like watch her play. And then eventually I get to play, and it was like the best thing ever. And she would always have all these different video games. Maybe I would say the game that really got me into gaming, man, I really have to think about that one. Like the one that really, really got me going. This is, you know what? I think I know what it is. Punch Out. It's Punch Out.
Punch Out.
It's definitely Punch Out.
Okay.
Because that was the game. Even though there was like Samurai Shodown in my life and stuff like that, but Punch Out was the first one I was like, I had to beat this thing. I had to defeat this damn game. And I only got to Tyson once. That's it. Like,
oh no. Oh, broken hearted. You only get one attempt at Tyson? Damn, that's rough, Cola. Sorry.
That was brutal. It's funny because once I lost, I was like, I'm never playing this again. I went back to it, obviously, after that, but that really got my love of games. I was like, the feeling of like accomplishing something, like maybe like in this like small spectrum of like, oh, you have these set of rules and you need to perform this to make this happen, and that feeling of accomplishment came like early from video games, more than anything else. And I was like, man, I'm really hooked on this kind of stuff. And then I just started playing basically everything. Like this has changed nowadays because now I play mostly fighting games, and really that's about it. But I used to play everything under the sun, sports games, NBA Street and all that stuff like that. Yeah. I play those types of games.
Now you're talking about language.
All the way to like RPGs and stuff, like Wizardry and things like that. So I played everything. Like video games have always been a big part of my life.
I feel like your grandma and my grandma could have hung out and like played Metroid and Zelda together.
Like, oh hell yeah!
Because like that was my grandma. Like she was super into. There was a game on the NES called Yoshi, which I've talked about this before, but it's like a puzzle game where you just match Mario enemies.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of like Dr. Mario style. So like, and that was super cool. My grandma was really into that, and like Metroid and Super Mario Brothers and Zelda and all that shit is stuff that I played when I was a kid because my grandma played it, and I was like, well, I want to play games with my grandma because she's cool as fuck. Like, why would I want to? So yeah, I'm like, it's funny because like I usually when people talk about their grandparents, they usually talk about them like doing knitting and stuff. That's so cool that your grandma played video games. Like I love hearing a different type of grandma. She's a Mexican immigrant, and so like besides like watching her soap operas, like that's really all she does. Like that, she's just like, nah, this is my shit. But true story, my grandpa got her the green translucent Donkey Kong 64 N64 for their anniversary. Yo. Yeah, on God.
What?
On God. And like he got her the special edition Donkey Kong 64 like for their anniversary. Like, here you go, Francis. Like, this is your present. And mind you, as kids, we were more excited than she was. But you best believe my grandma was busting out Donkey Kong 64 and playing it for like an hour before we could. Like, we were just sitting there watching, going, "Grandma, can we play?" And she told us to shut up and swatting away at us.
Like, hold on. She's like, hold on. Still my turn.
Yeah, man, my grandma's the best.
That's sick, dude.
She's something else, man. But look, I'm sorry to hear about your late grandma. She sounds like a wonderful woman.
You know, I appreciate those condolences. That's something, and I can get a little personal. Like, that did happen this year, actually only a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But I got to spend a full life with her, and she really set me on the path, not only with video games, but also with fighting games, and just in general with esports, because she bought me most of my fighting games when I was a kid. She bought me Tekken. When she bought me Tekken 3, she also got the limited edition, like, there's like a Jin Kazama shirt, where he's on the front and it's got the little thing on the side. Oh, well, I think it's on like the shoulders or whatever of his emblem or whatever.
Okay.
That came with the pre-order.
Oh.
Like, so every time she would buy me something, she'd get all the little trinkets and stuff from GameStop. She'd convince them, and you know, she always like furthered that love and that passion of fighting games. She'd get me the strategy guides and stuff, and man, she always was on top of like, okay, dude, what do you need? I got you. It's birthday. It's Christmas. Not even near that. Don't worry, I got you. Street Fighter Alpha 3, don't worry about it. You're going to have the in your hands right now.
Oh.
What edition do you want? PS1? Got it.
Damn, Grandma sounds cool as hell. Shit.
Dude, Grandma was sick. And what made it also great is that, like, I would go over when we talk about video games all the time. And so towards I would probably say, so I moved to Chicago in, like, 2010. Like, and before that, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do, like, with my life in general. Like, I'm, you know, early 20s, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I really could do right now. You know, life is kind of confusing. You know, I haven't really, melded out a path. And I was like, maybe I should do writing. You know, maybe I should go out for journalism. And my grandma was like, you need to stick on this path. You need to go out and do what you want to do. And even though, like, you know, you're going to Chicago, it's a big city, it's scary. By the way, I'm from Peoria, people. I'm sorry I didn't preface this before, but I'm from a small town. I'm from a very small town called Peoria. And she's like, you need to get out, and you need to go to Columbia College, you know, do your journalism degree, get that done, and then just see what the world has to offer. But continue with video games. And, you know, now it's so weird because, like, it was only recently that I went back to writing, like maybe about 2 years ago. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to writing. I'm going to write about fighting games. It's my biggest passion anyway. And now I'm like doing stuff for Red Bull, and it blows my mind that I'm able to do that. They let me say in one of their articles that G was finally viable this season. Like, how did they get? I mean, it's true, but in some ways it's true. But
right.
You know.
Oh man, that's. I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy that you get to just write whatever nonsense that comes out of your mouth, and they just let you have a fucking pass. So congratulations to you, Ryan. You did it. You've got the dream. You're able to do what Egg Twitter wants to do, but you get paid for it. That's beautiful.
Put the whack ass opinions, and they're like, you know what? Let's slide. But it's actually funny because it depends. Sometimes I get to write what I want. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Recently, I'm on a Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z project right now, where I'm like talking about their events and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a promotional thing, but also like here you have the freedom to write about it whatever way you want, because like they had the event but they need someone to like, all right, we need like to tell people like what's going on, like what they're gonna see here. So it's like, hey, just mention the event, but like write some cool shit. By the way, like. Make sure you write some cool shit so when somebody looks at it, they're actually going to read it all the way through.
Right. Oh.
But it's nice. But yeah, I like it. You know, I've done some freelancing for a few other teams. Prior, I did some freelancing for UIU. I've done some ghostwriting before. But this is like a nice area of content creation that I'd like to do. I want to do more, but like right now, this is like good. I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean You've definitely like positioned yourself as probably one of the lead writers, I think, for the FG. Or I don't want to speak for all of the FGC, but I will say for the Street Fighter scene, I think you and then probably the Street Fighter are probably like the number 1 and 2 guys. I think when you talk about FGC articles and stuff like that, I think you guys are the first names that come up. And you do a fantastic job. Even though Big Bird takes up most of your time, you
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. It's spoiled by talent, I tell you. That fucking guy.
Man.
He's another one of those, like we were talking about before the show, like these fucking young kids, man. They're like 21 years old, 22 years old, and like beating the doors off of us. Awful.
You know what's even more crazy is that the way that they practice, the way that, so like, Angry Bird and Big Bird, like from what I've talked with them, they don't have like a big scene where they're at, right?
Right.
So they just go in training mode and they practice situations and they practice certain mentalities. And even after Evo, I guess I could say this is fine because he said it himself. Big Bird didn't practice, and then he won. I think it was EGX or something like that. And this guy, like, he practices, but people think they put in like thousands of hours and stuff like that. Sometimes they just don't. Like, he hadn't played the game in a while, and he got a little bit of a warm up, and he beats the pants off of the previous Evo winner, Problem X. Like, it's ridiculous how well he plays, and it's not just him. It's Punk, Bonchan, other players, and even though Bonchan isn't younger,
yeah.
But certain players, but how they approach the game is so smart. And even though it's different per person, it's like if you took one of those pieces and you applied it to yourself as a player, you would be 10 times better. Like, all the people out there are like, they're not looking at these players. They're like, man, these players are really cool. I wish I could beat them. And maybe you can't, but you can take elements and get 10 times better. Like,
right. Like you, so much of what you can do to make your game better is just listening, learning, and like following the path of others that have blazed that path for you. Like, it's not, I don't know. It's not very difficult.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, for some people, it's a matter of time and stuff like that. Yeah. I definitely get it. Like, I know that, like, for me nowadays, it's a little bit more difficult to be on top of my game because, like, now that I'm entering the commentary side of things and also content creation, I don't have as much time to, like, really sit down and practice. Like, I'll play different characters, and a lot of people, I get a lot of grief for, like, playing different characters and switching a lot. But the reason I do it is so I can learn why they're doing what they're doing and why players are doing what they're doing, and so I can get a sense of that from, like, having my hands on with it. And then, unfortunately, every time I go back to, like, Bison, like, it resets me, and then I'm like, oh man, that I gotta start from not really square one, but kind of back there. So, like, the actual chance to, like, practice smart doesn't really happen too much for me because I'm like, I can either practice smart or I can practice like I'm practicing for commentary, which I'm playing to learn more than I'm playing to win, which you should be doing, but it's different for commentary. It's hard to explain, but essentially it's like, for me, I want to learn more about what the characters are doing more than I'm, like, playing sets or, like, grinding out things and things like that. Like, I'll watch videos of situations rather than, like, me performing them, so I don't really have the muscle memory.
Right, but you understand why, as a content creator and as someone who does a lot of commentary and analysis of the game, it's almost more important for you to understand why situations happen than be able to create those situations, if that makes any sense. You know, what you're saying makes sense. It definitely matters for you to know every single available option. So when you see it, you go, this is why that happened. And you can inform, like, the viewer of, this is why this scenario played out the way that it did. Instead of being like, you know, a lot of clueless commentators like me who go, that was awesome. Don't know how the fuck that works. And then you kind of move on. So,
I mean, and there's no way to know. I'm going to get into this because I think it's very difficult for commentating or to commentate something, especially when you've never done it before. And even when you're commentating and you think you've done a good job, you probably didn't in the first year or so. Like, I've done Red Bull, a bunch of monthly events like Fall Frights, and a bunch of low kick events. I do commentary at my locals pretty much every other week whenever Callisto's around for Street Fighter V, and if there's like some side commentary or whatever. And I still think that I'm like average. Like I grind like every day. Like I'm always like practicing commentary at home. I'm like I have Google Docs of notes. Every character has a different Google Doc of just notes, and then other notes from other players. and then other guys are just shoved in these Google Docs, and I look over them, and I'm still like, I'll still watch something. I'm like, I don't know what just happened. What is that? Then I got to go back and watch like 5 other matches. It's a continuous hell. And when you're wrong, people know it immediately. Or even if you're not wrong, they think that you're wrong. You have to like battle them not battle them, but like they're gonna say something in the chat, and so you can't look at the chat because you'll get distracted. So there's so many elements that you have to juggle and make sure that you're at least like perfect. And then on top of everything, you have to be like entertaining. You got to be fun, and it's hard to be fun even when you watch the same people come up for your locals every single week. Like I'm lucky because like our stuff shifts fairly often. Our top 4 usually is like Just a Kid, Dual Kevin when he comes, Wish Punish, and Zach. Sometimes you can flip some of those out with random high fives, and maybe a few other random people as well, like Tech Bandit and such. Yeah. So I have the variety, but sometimes it's like a Colleen versus Colleen matchup, and you have to say, how do I make this mirror match entertaining? And it's good that I have a co-commentator in Callisto who's like very knowledgeable about things, which for some characters he knows a lot more than I do, which helps me out a lot. He's very technical when he talks, so I can bounce off him a little bit. But it's one of those things where you have to like always reinvent yourself every time you go on the mic and say, how am I going to make this interesting? Because like as a local, you got to make it fun for somebody to watch.
Yeah, because a lot of people that are interested in Street Fighter or like watch Street Fighter streams or Street Fighter League or like the Capcom Pro Tour and stuff like that, if they have a passing interest in like watching other stuff, they're watching a stream where there might be no players that they know are on screen at any point in time, you know?
Yeah.
And so it definitely makes it harder, I guess, on you to be like, I have to present nameless people on screen to nameless people in the chat that might not know either of each other exist or will ever exist. And so I have to make it interesting for them while also like propping up my scene. So I get where like towing that line is like very difficult without sounding like too much of a homer and without like alienating your current player base. But like I said before, and I'll keep blowing you on this, you do a fucking fantastic job of it. So take some pride in your work.
I'm trying, man. It's so hard. You watch good commentators and you're like, damn. but it's all a process, and I recognize that it's a process. It's like learning a fighting game and getting better at a fighting game. You have to be consistent with your training. You have to shore up the problems that you have. You have to be experimental. Like when I'm on the mic, sometimes like I can admit that yesterday was not my greatest commentary. Like I was stumbling on a few things. It kind of started late, and that happens. You have to be able to perform at your worst. Just like in fighting games, sometimes it's like a 2-bar connection. Yesterday it was like it's 11:30 at night and they're starting top 4. I had no idea that we're going on. I'm not really prepared enough. I prepared somewhat, but like not enough because I wasn't able to like. I thought it was not going to happen at all. So I was like, okay, I'll chill today. And then like, we're doing Street Fighter 5 top 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm over there. And I'm trying things on the mic, and some of the things aren't landing so hard. I'm kind of talking over Callisto a little bit, and I'm willing to admit these things so I can be like, okay, later on, I'm going to go home, I'm going to find some cues that I can, maybe work out with Callisto, or maybe I can just, like, for myself, and say, like, okay, maybe hold back and let things rock a little bit, but don't hold back too much.
Right.
Like, I already looked through those VODs, and I'm like, man, this was not that good. But, like, I'm like, that's fine, because everyone has, like, bad days. I'll take from that and get better.
Yeah, very much so. How often do you watch through, like, VODs of your own commentary? Like, how often are you watching your own tracks?
Literally right after it happens. Like,
okay.
I'm literally right after it happens, and I will write down as I can. Like, when Red Bull got done, when I was in the Uber back home, I plugged in my headphones, and I was just, like, typing out notes of everything I did wrong, everything I did right. And I'm just, like, trying to scale down. I'm like, okay, this was good, this was bad, this was yada, yada, yada. There are some times where I know that it's really bad, and I won't do anything with it, and I'll just be like, I don't need to see it. I already know the mental notes are in my... but that's a lot more rare nowadays than it was, when I first started out, where I was like, man, this is really bad.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
I don't know, it's something I never thought of, because, like, as a player, if I'm on stream for anything... I will never listen to the stream as I'm playing because I think that's hella distracting. But immediately after, like, a match or something like that, or after the stream is over, I'll go back and I'll listen to the stream, like, to my match to see what I did wrong and shit like that. Or to see, like, what chat was saying, which is never, like, a good thing. I should never do that.
Oh,
like,
God. Don't ever look at the chat. I made that, but for me, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't hurt too much. Like, when I actually watched through the Red Bull VODs with the chat on, and it was funny because, like, I was like, man, I'm going to get so offended by this. They're going to rail into me. And there were some people who were like, God, this guy's screaming too much. He's way too loud or whatever. Like, that was kind of the extent of it. But I was like, it is what it is. But in general, you don't want to look at the chat. And it's hard to not look at the chat also when you're at your locals, but you kind of want to make it interesting because people want you to talk to them.
Yeah.
There's some weird rules about that. Like, but you don't want to be reliant on them because that shouldn't be your content while you're doing your commentary. It depends on what place, that you're commentating for. So there's so many weird things that you have to think about and train for. And nobody really thinks about that. They just think people go on the mic and commentate. And you have people who, like, explain how to do commentary well, like Say Jam. James Chin, if you ask him, he will give you commentary tips. I asked him right before Red Bull, I was like, what do you do to keep yourself, like, going if you've got, like, a longer block day? And he was like, I just take naps if I can. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, James. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do that. He's like, well, then, it's Red Bull, and, And Vicious was like, yeah, dog, I don't eat until it's done. Like, I'll eat, like, a big breakfast and stuff, and then, like, I just don't eat and drink the whole day. I'm like, how do you survive? Is that even good?
What
is
the
that
hell?
a good influence?
Yeah, what? Why do you think this was a good
crazy?
idea?
Like, how?
Well, shout out to James Chen for holding down an 8-hour commentary block at Canada Cup this weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Across
that was good.
6 different games? Yeah, like, what a fucking champion he is, dude. Oh, man. I do this for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get up, I gotta go stretch, I have to drink, like, I gotta get away from the microphone for a while. And this is just bullshitting with, like, a friend. I couldn't imagine broadcasting for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And sometimes on a game that he doesn't know that well, and just like, fuck it, I'll just make it up as I go. Man, shout out to James Chen. The balls on that guy.
Good Lord. He's doing a fantastic job. And that of course, is like years of, like, understanding fighting games in general, and also just understanding, like, things that where there's a situation in a fighting game that's interesting, and you know how to pull that out and say, this is really cool, or this player is acting like this is their mental state. Because he really focuses on, like, the mental side of things, which I think is a good idea. Like, what the player's thinking, what state they're in, how they're going to respond to something. And that way, you don't have to really think about the technical, because that creates an interesting story. If someone's, like, they're defensive a lot, they're stressed. They're getting pummeled by the attacks. They're probably stressed. And they have to figure out a way of threading the needle and getting through that situation. And James Chen points that out really well. Like, things like that, he just catches.
Yeah.
Just really well. He doesn't need to have the technical knowledge. I think that's really impressive.
I think that just comes from years of being in the game, because he's been doing this for, 25 plus years now at this point?
It must be.
Yeah.
It honestly must be.
And, like, that's not me, like, trying to call James old, but I legit think he's been in this for 25 plus years. It's 2019? Fuck, probably even before that. Like, because that'd be 94. And I know he's been in the scene for a fucking minute. So yeah, shout out to him for not only longevity and not getting burnt out by FGC Twitter and the rigorous travel schedules and everything else. But yeah, shout out to James Chen, man. FGC Twitter. I saw Ono put out that tweet that was like, maybe Street Fighter 6 will come in 10 years, and I was like, fucking perfect, because 10 years from now, FGC Twitter will have fucking burnt me out. I won't give a fuck. I'll be gone by that point. I'll never see you fuckers again. That's about where I'm at. But good. I hope it takes 10 years. Let me enjoy Street Fighter 5 for 10 years, and y'all can piss off.
You know what? I hope so too. Goddamn, let it rock like that, please. Let it rock like that. It's so. FGC Twitter it's so. Oh man, it's awful. FGC Twitter is awful. I'm just gonna say it. I love a lot of my mutuals. I love a lot of the players, but it's just, it takes one stupid comment. like, oh, chip kills is like now the thing, and now people are debating back and forth about adding chip kills in Street Fighter V. It's not going to happen.
No.
Why the hell are people spending energy on a thing that's literally not going to happen? Like, imagine you take time out of your day to write 17 tweets about why chip kills should be in Street Fighter V, and you have all this shit laid out. You thought about this like most of your day. You were at work. You didn't get anything done. You didn't even eat lunch because you were too busy typing away about some shit that's not going to happen. That's the most useless thing you could do with your fucking time. But yet, FGC Twitter, they focus on those things. They hyper focus on, well, what if this thing doesn't? It's not going to happen. But like, what if it did? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And Capcom proper is not going to be listening. Thank God. They're not going to be saying, you know what, we should change our game completely and put chip kills in because a bunch of whiny dudes on Twitter that don't actually play Street Fighter want it back in, or they think they know anything about the game but they really don't, or maybe their suggestions are whatever sound, but we have tons of money to just switch everything over. Everyone, it just no. That's just one little issue that's going on. You have that, and then earlier we mentioned the Guilty Gear thing. The 2020 Guilty Gear thing, where they're like, "Hey, this game is subject to change. Like anything could change." And instead of giving articulated feedback, everyone's screeching to the developers, "This is not my Guilty Gear.
Oh
this is not my Guilty Gear."
That's the fucking worst. That Riot fighting game trailer came out 30 seconds, and maybe 5 seconds of it was actual gameplay, and people are like, "Don't worry, it's just an alpha. Give it time. It'll definitely change," and all this other shit. Meanwhile, Guilty Gear comes out, and they're like, this isn't even in the beta yet, and people are freaking the fuck out. Guilty Gear has been a staple of the FGC for years. Why will you not give Daisuke and those guys the opportunity to update and change their game? Meanwhile, Riot over here is just like, I might have a fucking $1 for you, so the FGC is like, oh baby, we won't criticize them. Get the fuck out of here. Oh
yeah, you know what it's about. And people have even said oh, I'll definitely leave my game. I've seen people say they're going to leave the game for money. And you know what? You do you. That's fine if you're in this for the money. Whatever, cool. But at the same time, if it's about money and they're pulling in people from League, don't think that you're not going to get mollywopped by some 9-year-old kid who's a prodigy that really cares about League and wants to get in the League. The only reason he's not beating you in fighting games is because he doesn't like fighting games. But this league, that's going to be the crossover, you have even more competition. So all that greasy money that you think you're getting, it's like people talk about Fortnite. Oh, I'm going to leave for Fortnite. Yeah, good luck. You're not going to make any money even more.
Right.
I mean, in all honesty, there's not much money in the FGC. Here's a dirty secret. You don't get paid much from most sponsors. And I'm not naming names or whatever, but if you look closely, most of these players are doing donation drives, right?
Yeah.
On their own streams. And they have sponsors. Most of the or they're going to McDonald's or something like that, or they have a side job or something that they're doing, or maybe a full-time job. Most of them are not. Their sponsors aren't paying for everything. It's like a golden dream to be sponsored, and you get to work, just play fighting games all day. But that's not how it is. None of that is anywhere near the truth. And to be honest, the sponsors that have money you can count them probably on 1 or 2 hands, if that.
Yeah, if that. It's. I don't understand why people seem to think that on the other side of this hill is this golden goose of money that's just waiting for us. We just have to find it. Fuck man, that's just not. It's not in the scene. It's not. Just be honest, it's not. There's a good handful of guys, Punk, Bonchan, that will win Capcom Cup, Evo, and stuff like that, and they'll make decent money. But for the most of us, we do it because we love the fucking game. And if you want to leave and go play Riot's fighting game for a chance to make money, congratulations. I know you've got 20 followers on Twitter. I know you just hit silver last month in Street Fighter V. I can't wait to see you rolling up in your Benz at Combo Breaker. I'm fucking super stoked for you, bro. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you. Guess what? No matter how much money is at the end of that fucking tunnel, your neutral is not going to improve. It is what it is. Eat my ass.
Right, exactly.
I don't care.
Preach.
No, man, I'll really put time into it if I know there's money at the end. All right, well, there's money at the end of this fucking train right now, too, and I don't see you putting in the time. All I see you is going on Twitter and bitching.
That's the other thing is, it's so funny that, people are like, oh, when this gets money, I'll definitely... No, you won't, because you have to... imagine spending 8 hours with a game you don't like, with bad mechanics that has all these terrible things attached to it. You're spending your life doing this. You're not really winning that much, and you're attempting to win big out of this somehow. Like, you could be doing that anywhere else, but you're not doing that for a reason, right? So if this League game comes out, and it's not what people want, which, in all honesty, I don't think that game is going to be like a traditional fighter. And I think a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, I can't wait to play it," and stuff like that, think it's going to be like Street Fighter or Tekken or whatever, or not, maybe not Tekken, but like, or Guilty Gear or something like that. And it's not going to happen. Like, it's going to be like, oh, this game is made to get people who are casuals to get in the game, but hardcore people may not like it, and like, y'all just have to hold that, you know?
I hope
because
it plays
they're
like,
looking for money.
Yeah. I hope it plays like PlayStation All Stars. I hope it turns into a fucking arena fighter.
I honestly, I hope they throw every fighting game convention out the fucking window, because, and part of me thinks they will, because the money is not in the hardcore. The hardcore have time and time proven that they do not make up even 10% of the sales.
Yeah.
Because they're not buying the costumes. They're not buying these games in mass. They're not doing much. And if you think people, these companies are making money from people going to tournaments and stuff, they really don't. They don't make that much. They don't. You sell some copies of your game, you know, to like Johnny Donuts, who doesn't know anything about Street Fighter V, and he buys 20 Chun-Li costumes because he loves Chun-Li.
Right.
Versus, like, you know, Pro Gamer, who bought the game once, and he has all the characters and stuff, but he bought them probably with fight money because he's hardcore, and he'll travel from here to here, but he's not really giving any money directly to Capcom. Like, when you go to venues and stuff like that, they're not really giving money to, you know, the publisher. So, like, the hardcore they give nothing to the developers. So if I'm a developer, I'm gonna do it right to the casuals. I'm gonna say, yo, what do you guys want? Y'all want patches every month? You got it. You want DLC characters and stuff you'll buy? You got it. The hardcore mad, they gotta hold that. I'm making money. Because, and to be honest, it sounds like a cruel thing, but, like, it's one of those things where the hardcore has to step up and either start getting more people into the FGC and pulling more people into the FGC that are actually interested in converting those people to playing the game long term, or they have to start spending more money and make themselves more relevant. Like, I mean, development ain't cheap. Development never is cheap. Like, yeah, I keep jumping on topics, I'm sorry, but Gippo and all that, like, good netcode stuff, I want that too, but I'm cognitive of the fact that I know why it's not happening. Because publishers, bad or good, they have a budget. And if it's not in their budget, you're getting what they have, right?
Right.
Like, if they only have some pocket change in their parents, they're like, you know what? Here you go. You get this ratty ass netcode. And if there's not enough money in the bank to warrant them going like a massive overhaul, then unfortunately it is what it is. That's why a lot of fighting games didn't shift over to Gippo, because they have to be made in line with that. Otherwise, it's a massive rehaul.
Right.
Like, it's not something you just drag and drop into the online folder. It's something you gotta, like, build from the ground up, or it's a massive undertaking.
I saw, I think it was yours, or maybe fucking Joe Monday's tweet that was like, oh, I just dragged and dropped the GGPO file into my fighting game, and now my netcode is good.
That was mine, and I definitely agree. That's how you do it. No. But, like, I mean, I get it on the other side of things. Like, I am a consumer, and I want better netcode, like, for all my games.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, Tekken, anything. Samurai Showdown also, all the games have been, like, not good online. When I play other games online, I'm like, why is it so good? And then I realize that fighting games don't have a budget, and they won't make it good. But at the same time, if you don't make a good product, then it's hard to get people to buy, and it's like this cyclical thing of garbage.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's just hard, yeah.
I've never understood all right. So the GGPO debate, right? I don't even know if it's a debate. All right, so we have people going, we want GGPO netcode. Okay, that's cool. And developers going, we do what we can to give you the best netcode that we can, whether it be like GGPO, as long as it's not delayed netcode, which is terrible.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Street Fighter 4, fuck off. But, like, we do the best to give you, like, you know, the best that we can with netcode, be it GGPO or anything else. But then the consumers are just like, no, we want GGPO. Yeah, we get it. Like, y'all are still screaming about this. Like, everyone knows what we want. But, like, the consumer side of it is just kind of going in circles. Like, I don't understand anyone that's arguing against GGPO or rollback netcode. Like, those takes are so few and far between. Why is everyone so mad? Like I'm more mad at them than they should be mad at GGPO. And like this whole fucking debate. I don't. Again, fundamentally, I don't understand it. Like I don't know where the debate comes from. So that's probably why I'm mad.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get why people want like that kind of netcode in the games. I also think that it's not a solution for every single game. And maybe this is just ignorance on development, like the development side of things. Like, not every game can use this, you know? And, like, it's not a solution that's, like, it fits everything. And, like I said, it has to be done when you make the game. That's why Guilty Gear, unless they said at the beginning of the thing, they said, on GGPO, we're going to do it. It's probably not going to happen. And I think it's just, like, ignorance on the consumer side that we think it's so easy just to like patch it in, and it's not. So then you get like people like screaming like, "I want GGPO," and like I want good netcode, and that will always be first and foremost. But I think when we have these conversations with developers, the most important thing is to be like informed and be, I guess the best way to put it is like we should be measured in our responses and articulated. Not, we want GGPO!
Yeah.
Because developers are probably saying, in their minds, maybe they can't say it for whatever reason. Maybe it's PR, maybe they can't find a good way to articulate themselves. But, like, maybe for some it's like, we can't do that because it costs too much, or you guys don't make us enough money to patch it, or whatever the reason is. The discussion with developers is so difficult because, like, we want things, and they want us to buy things, but the communication bridge is bad on both ends, right?
Yeah.
So trying to get like GGPO or something like that going, or get good netcode, we have to understand why that's not in the games, and use a little bit of common sense to say maybe it won't fit all the games. So maybe are there other options they can do?
Right.
And that is to say, like, if you're not happy with the options they provide, then don't play the game, don't support the game. Like, I'm not saying, you should play Tekken or Street Fighter, but even though you're sitting in shitty netcode, if that's not a good product, then don't play it. Like, I put down many games this year that I'm like, this is not a good product. I don't want to play it anymore. And that was that. Like, it's the same thing with fighting games. Like, and you should definitely tell developers, like, we want better because we definitely deserve better. Because honestly, fighting games are bad products. They're really bad products. Like, you compare them to any video game, it's not a good product. Most of the games that come out have so many issues or problems that you won't find in other games, especially AAA titles. Like, it's wild that we have these things.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to articulate this stuff in a proper manner, and also they have to articulate it back to us. And I feel like there's just been this big disconnect, and I think a lot of it's Japanese developers not talking back and forth with us, and us screaming for one option when there's multiple possibly. Like, people don't know this, but Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had great netcode. Like,
the best.
It was great.
The best netcode. That and Killer Instinct. Fantastic.
Yes. It's so good. I could play people from in the UK, and it's good. Like, I'm like, well, it's like a mixture of delay and rollback in this weird, perfect format. And I'm not saying that's going to work for Street Fighter or other games, but it's obvious that Capcom could do it, right?
Right.
So maybe there's something that's preventing Capcom from doing Street Fighter 5 or implementing that in Street Fighter 5. And so I'm like, okay, cool. If the netcode's not good for me, like, luckily where I'm at, I get like 70% of my matches or 80% of my matches are fine. But like, the netcode is decent enough for me to continue playing. But I want better. But maybe what they put in Infinite doesn't work in Street Fighter 5, or they don't have the budget for it, or they're waiting for the new game, or whatever. But I will always let people know, like, yo, this is a standard that we can use right here. It's not GGPO. Here's this one that they made in-house. It was good. They can do this, I think we just have to be open to other options out there besides GGPO and other things, instead of saying, GGPO for life, and getting tattooed on their foreheads. Because that may not be the option, That may not be the option. And, I also, at the same time, I also don't hate developers. This is kind of like a side note, but it's not the developers that are making the decision saying, we want shitty netcode or whatever. It's the publishers that say, you have a budget. You have to work within this budget. Have fun. And then they walk away. And they're like, you need to do this and this. And the developers are probably like, I want to make a good product for you guys, but Big Joe publisher over here saying cut costs, and you're going to get this,
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing. It's complicated. But I think as a consumer, you should be understanding of things, but also you should articulate yourself. And be consistent, obviously.
Yeah. What I've learned from this conversation is that I need to create a Twitter account called Ono's Anger Translator, kind of like Key and Peele's Anger Translator for Obama. And
Yes.
every time someone mentions Street Fighter 6, I'm just going to be, and Ono's like, hey guys, like, maybe not now. In-house meeting goes, shove Street Fighter 6 up your fucking ass. All right, you'll get it when we get it. And shut the fuck up.
Isn't it so weird that we have a developer like Murata who like does shit like don't ask me for shit and all this other stuff, but we also have Ono who like is very tepid in his responses, and like if he says something like even slightly different, like the PR guys are flying in, they're like, "Hey, cut that out!"
Yeah, like
knock down his door. They're like, "Stop it!"
Yeah, like listen, you think the Cap Cops cop down on us? Like poor Ono is shackled sometimes. Like, the man is so sincere and just wants to be like, hey, guys, like, this is the message. And they're like, hey, fucko. Like, PR said not to say that. And just, oh, my God. Poor guy. But
it's got to be really difficult, man. It's got to be super difficult working for any company, you know, like, that has all these shackles and stuff like that. Like, it's got to be just a hellscape sometimes. I'm not saying that in particular for Capcom or Namco or Bandai or whatever, but just theoretically, if you're constantly barred down and you're to the publishers or the PR whim, like it's got to be a lot of stress, you know. And that's why, like, whenever I approach a situation where, like, excuse me, where I approach a situation where, like, I want something in the game or I want something changed, I'm not gonna like insult Ono and be like, "You stupid garbage piece of shit, change this shit." I'm gonna be like, I would like this to be fixed. You know, like input lag and all that stuff the input lag and stuff like that we had. I constantly was like, man, we should fix this. I hope they fix this. The game would be a lot better if they fix this. Not, yo, fuck this game, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, if people, I feel like it's easier to sift through the messages of what people want when they're nice and measured. Not even nice, but just articulated. You could be upset, just articulate yourself.
Right. And I just want to say out there, like, the things I said about Ono and Capcom, I don't mean that. Like, I'm just being silly. Just want to throw that out there. Capcom, thank you for everything you guys do. You know, if anyone's listening, just no. But look, we're just having a good time here. No one listens to this. It's all right. It's fine. No one listens to this anyways. It's all right.
We'll see. I might tag him.
That's all right. Yeah, let him know. Let him know some drunk guy up in Holton Lake, Michigan was like, "Hey, Capcom, fuck up." No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna give you Abigail nerves. You're looking at some Abigail nerves.
Shut up. Don't put that in the ether, because that shit'll happen. They're gonna be like, he has too much health still. Like, convert that over to
900. Yeah, there we go.
900 health pool. Convert all that health over to G. G needs the health. That's
gosh.
that 25 health buff to him is actually like with gut scaling something like 130 or 140 health. And
right.
It's so crazy. It makes it so buff. Fucking G.
See, that's one of those things where, like, I think so. When G came out, this is I feel like as it's in response to how people see the game, right? When G came out, people were like, "Oh, he has no defense, no 3-frame, no reversal, he gets mauled," right?
Yeah.
But that's like a really, really small way of looking at things, a really compact way of looking at things, because G has this thing: if he touches you with one of his light buttons, you explode, right? Yeah, so if your meaties aren't on point, if he touches you at any point, he could take you to the other side of the screen potentially. He has one of the best V-triggers, if not the best V-trigger in the game. And he's got certain things like where if he does his like sending light kick, his hitbox like rears back a little bit, so he kind of dodges a little bit. It's just things like that are maybe a little bit more minute, but they're very pronounced in the heat of the moment that give him defensive tools. Maybe they're not the most traditional ones, but those are defensive things that he can use. Maybe sometimes depending on the matchup, and people don't recognize those things. They just see, oh, the character he just gets mauled. He can't do anything because people are so worried about just knee jerking. So Capcom's like, cool. Like, I guess you idiots can't just work with what we've given you. So let's give him more health because he needs to live a little bit longer because you guys apparently can't work it out. And now G is even more ridiculous. He was already ridiculous.
Yeah, now he's a fucking problem. But like, I don't know. I enjoyed the design of G and like all of his moves and shit like that. And I do like that. Like if he touches you with the light, like you explode and like you get carried across the screen. That being said, if I'm in the corner, I'm just holding up forward the whole fucking time.
Let him go the back heavy or whatever.
Yeah, like
yeah. It's back heavy.
Yeah,
into like whatever. I'd rather take that than a command grab.
Yeah,
man, 17 frames. That's not enough to react for me, man.
I'm too goddamn old for this.
17 frames.
That's what I'm saying.
17 frames out. I'm watching the whole damn frame come out. Pat me on the shoulder.
That's what. Yeah, I just hold up forward because I'm like, fuck it. Like I'm gonna, at the very least, like eventually he's gonna go for the command grab. Every G does. No G sits there and does pressure. Like that command grab's coming. So I'll eat half my health bar because like as Abigail, if I can get out of that corner and hit you with a cross up. And now I have V-trigger because I just got my ass beat for 50% life in the corner. Now it's your turn to go for a fucking ride.
Now I get to play.
Yeah, now it's my single-player game, motherfucker. Which is just my favorite way to look at that matchup. Like, whatever, I'll take my ass beaten in the corner, and hopefully they'll go for the command grab. Then I'll just scoop my ass out of there and have myself a ball. Because, Jesus Christ, that matchup, G versus Abigail...
That would suck.
Oh, God.
Level 3, him and level 3 cannot be.
No, like, Abigail's like jump arc can't make it over like the level 3 fireballs unless you have very precise timing. So you just kind of get jailed there. And you just gotta like sit there and like, man, this is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. So
to block here and walk and block and hope that it's up or stops doing the thing that's actually working out in the matchup. Like...
The worst part about the level 3 is, like, it pushes you back. So even if you walk forward, block, like, it still moves you back, like, just a little bit. And, like, just enough to piss me off. Because my walk speed is already ass. Abigail doesn't really have any options. Like, ugh.
Yeah, what a matchup. I feel like when I look at the characters, like, right now, and unfortunately how people talk about them, and that definitely is a... Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the way that people talk about, like, certain characters and things like that, it just, you can kind of tell what Capcom is going to do sometimes.
Yeah.
You can kind of, like, get an idea of where Capcom might go with the next patch. And I think that health buff is going to get relinquished, and I think he's going to lose one of his charges from his V-trigger. I would hope it's just like that, because, like, the health buff is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little bit too much. But if you take away that, maybe, like, one of the charges from his V-trigger... Like, he's still playing the same game, it's just, it's still riskier to play the character. So if he rolls over you, you know, he's as designed to making you guess all the time. But if you can still roll over him a lot quicker. And I'm kind of hoping that the buffs and the nerfs are very light, because I feel like the way that this game is right now, despite some of the harder matchups, despite the kind of the wackier things, especially Rashid, I hope some of that stuff like gets a little, it's very light. Like Rashid himself, I don't really know what I would do to nerf him, but I hope what they do to him is very light, and they keep other things light to bring up to like Rashid's level, or just be able to fight Rashid. You know what I'm saying? Or fight those top tier characters.
Yeah.
Because people just want more of like, okay, nerf the top tiers and buff the lower tiers, but like when it comes to nerfing and buffing, you're just switching out the top 5 for a different top 5.
Right.
And people have to be like, you know what, that's just how it is. That's how fighting games are. So you have to look at it like, if the nerfs and buffs come, they have to let the characters at the lower end fight their bad matchups. They don't have to win, but they have to fight their bad matchups better. So you have a chance. So instead of it being like a theoretical 7-3, it comes down to like a 6-4. Like a very hard 5-5. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Something like that. Give them the tools to work with. I think one of the examples is like this. He's like Bison. He's got a parry. You have to use it well, but it helps with the anti-air situation in some of his matchups. It's not a cure-all, but it helps out a lot in like smoothing some of the matchups over and assisting in getting the jumps off you. You know, it's a call out. Like, it's so hard to use. It's not something you can just throw out there easy. I forgot. I think it's 16 frames or something like that. So you can't use it as like just an immediate thing. But you are, maybe it's 8 frames. I don't know. Don't quote me. I'm a bad commentator. Apparently I don't know my own character data. Sorry. But the purpose is that they've given him this tool that helps him in matchups as like almost like a defensive tool that helps him against jump-ins and stuff like that. They should think about that when they do the patching and nerfing for all the characters. Like, What can we do to help them fight their bad matchups? Or because I don't want Alex to be like good. I don't want characters like Alex and Fang to be good. I do want, however, players to like be able to work on those bad matchups a little more, so they're not as stressed, and like be able to just have fun. Even if they lose, they're like, "Well, I could have did this," or "I'm doing this," and I'm getting really close to this matchup and stuff like that.
Yeah. Goddamn, Ryan coming in here making all the sense in the world. If only we could just hire you to be the voice of the people.
Oh God, no.
No, No, go ahead.
Go on. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, no, all I was going to say is I agree. I never want to see Alex and Fong as top-tier characters. Alex especially.
Yes. Please, God.
Like, Fong, I might allow Fong, because, like, Fong is, like, a fun, original character who's kind of weird. I was talking yesterday with, I think, Rotten Seagull, where we were talking about, like, Fong doesn't really have good anti-air tools, where, like, they work well as anti-airs, but you get no damage. So, like, there's really not much of a deterrent in order to stop someone from jumping in on you. So my thought was, like, give Fong something like being able to cancel Crouch Heavy Punch, which is, like, where he flaps his little arms in the air, to be able to cancel that into his fly and give the fly, like, a small hitbox, but only on that cancel. So, like, if someone jumps at you, you hit him with the Crouch Heavy Punch, cancel into fly, and then while you're up there, I'll let you fly again, to, like, kind of give an ambiguous, like, side switch. Because the other person is going to land on the ground, and then they have to worry about where Fong is going to land.
That would be a smart idea, actually. Because you're giving this character, like, a tool to use. They have to land the hit. They're giving them a tool to use, and they're not getting, like, guaranteed, like, damage, but they might get, like, a setup, which is more for that character.
Right.
And they're not... And if they get that setup, they're not going to get anything, like, massive off of that. But it's deterring you from flying in. So then the other player has to think, okay, how am I going to deal with it if he cancels? What can my character do against that? And it's like a fun little game that they have, like a fun little tool. Like that's what I would like to see. That kind of stuff. Not like make this +2 or +3. Like
that's
give them something they can use.
Right. That's such minute thinking when it comes to thinking about buffs and nerfs, because my rationale for doing that with Fong is that Fong as a character is more like a setup and trap style character like Aaron Black in Mortal Kombat X. So instead of being like you jumped at Fong, now you eat a shit ton of damage, you jump at Fong anti-airs you, and now he puts you in a bad position, which is like kind of good flavor-wise for him because that's what he does as a character,
Right.
Now you're playing the Fong guessing game because you decided to jump in at a bad time. So I don't. That's just like a small buff, but like I think a consistent anti-air buff that would deter someone from wanting to jump in on you because they don't want to jump in on you because they're not going to eat a whole bunch of damage. They're going to not want to jump in on you because, oh, now I have to guess where this fucking annoying character is coming from with like micro gaps in all of his strings. So I don't want to jump at him anymore. Like shit like that. Like I don't know. There's little things like that I think would help give some of those characters a little bit more flavor and a little bit more play in top 8s. But I mean, we've seen a large variety of top 8s this year. I know Karen, Akuma, and Rashid are leading the usage boards. But we've seen Kichipamu make top 8s with Zangief at Evo, at PPL, and then there was another one. I think it was at SEAM or SEAM.
Yeah, he was at SEAM also.
Yeah, and at SEAM,
I think he was third. I believe.
Yeah, we've seen Bonchan break out Sagat in top 8.
Right.
We've seen a lot of character diversity this year, and I appreciate it.
Man.
Justin Wong's Poison was at Canada Cup.
Top 8 with a brand new character that's only come out a couple of months ago. And he was only using a couple buttons. That's what's so cool. He was only using a couple buttons because his neutral is so strong. And then you can look at Idom's Poison, which is also in the top 8. The way he plays it is way different, way more aggressive. It's the variety is there, the play styles are there. I get why people are upset by seeing some of the same characters, but if you think about it, it's really the same players, like over and over again, or players that have been playing these characters for so long. Like the Rashids that are doing well, none of them are people who just picked up Rashid. They're all people who've been playing Rashid for +2 years and then putting the work in. Like Big Bird been playing Rashid since I think season 2. Since Kim was back, he's really put more time into Rashid. You look at like Zeku, who's been on the map. It was Angry Bird's been playing that character. Infection's been playing that character. There's been a ton of people who have been playing these characters who they're not just running top tiers. They're playing them because they've been playing them for so long and they've already been strong players. So no shit, they got to get good results. You know, do I want to see some nerfs to kind of even things out and buffs, whatever, and in the way that you were talking about? Yes. But the characters that we're seeing are from the same people over and over again. It's because the same people are winning over and over again. And, you know, it's the diversity is still there, and there's not diversity because it's the same players, but that's a good thing because that means the game is stable, right?
Right.
If it's the same people winning, or the same chunk of people at least that you see in the CPT leaderboards every year, it's around the same people. If they're winning, to me that's a really good sign that the game is like pretty well balanced. You know, especially now in this season, I think this is obviously the best season. I've heard that from everybody. That this is like pretty much the best season, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, the diversity is there. Like we have a lot of top tier top tier characters, but you also have ones that aren't. Like I mean, Idom's Laura. I don't know if that character is bad, man. I don't know if that character is actually bad. I mean, I know Idom's a god. Maybe I should interview him. Maybe that's the thing I should get on. But I gotta know, man. Idom's a god, but man, there's only so much work you could do to make top 8 like that. Top 8 of evil like that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be something with that character. I think that character deserves another book. Or maybe it's the Street Fighter V in general being so balanced that if you really put the time and effort into it, you could probably make it work. But some people just would rather go the top tier route, and that's just how fighting games are, and can't really stop that at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that goes across the bow, or the bow. I don't know why I said bow. What an idiot. That goes across that goes across the bow in like all genres. You know, if you're playing competitively, it's generally a good idea to go with the top tier. But as far as Laura goes, I think that character is like sneaky good. I think that character is very sneaky good. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your character is strong or weak or, you know, any part of the meta. If that character has you knocked down and you have to guess 50-50 on your wake up, it doesn't matter what fucking character you have, and it doesn't matter what character they have. If they put you in a 50-50, it's a coin flip. And have fun. Like, hot damn.
Right.
So that's why I really, really, really enjoy command grab characters for shit like that. Like, it doesn't matter how strong you as a player are or how strong your opponent is. It's a 50-50 and you have to guess. And there's one right answer. Hey, cabrón, mira, do an interview. Thank you.
Man, I definitely agree. Like, with that type of archetype, like, she can live. But, like, it's the same thing with Zangief. Like, how are they're making them guess wrong so many times. And they're calling out, and they're guessing right so many times. Kichipamu, he's not doing anything that's so drastically different than other Geefs. He's just guessing right the majority of the time. Like, he must be psychic. Like, I was watching Ultra David, that character, and Kichipamu was playing. He's like, that man will just go for resets. And the majority of the time, guess what? He guesses right, and it lands. Like, it's wild. Like, it to me, that kind of melds into another topic I want to touch on. Like, the characters, the way that people express themselves in this game is a little bit more minute than other games. Like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's not a million combos or these little fancy, cute little things you can do as much as, like, Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 3. But, that being said, the way that people play, like the top tier players are playing, they're all vastly different. Like, if you put me in front of like Takamura and Takedo, I could probably tell you which one is which. And like, that's not just from studying those two players. Like, from watching them and how they play, like Takamura is wild. That man's EXDPs come out all the dang time. Takedo's much more reserved, so when he busts out the EXDP, you're like, God damn, what just happened to this man's mind? And like, it's just but there's little minute things that happen between players and in their interactions and how and their play styles that maybe it's because more this season, like whiff punishing is like stronger because of the input lag going to decrease and all this other stuff. Maybe because we've gotten used to the game, but I'm seeing that diversity in play styles. It's not people running to like the simplest combos and stuff like that. I'm seeing a lot of resets. I'm seeing a lot more diversity, especially in their defensive options. There was a point at CEO this year where Bonchan is negative, like he does Karen's shoulder. He's negative 2, right?
Uh-huh.
Then he decides, I'm going to do crouching medium kick right after, catches Fujimura, wins. Everyone is shocked. They're like, it's not your turn. What are you doing? But those kind of interactions are predicated on knowing your opponent, understanding what they're going to do, taking a chance to do something, and you being your own player to perform those actions. And you don't see other people just doing the shoulder raw, getting a -2, and saying, you know what, crouching medium kick, it's my turn anyway, even though there's a massive gap. Like, you don't see other people doing that. But that's the thing, is just it happens in the game because you're almost like freestyle putting out your block strings and taking your turn back when you want. And then that's how I feel like these players are one of the ways, at least, are diversifying themselves.
I gotta say, I really appreciate Bonchan doing that, because every time Bonchan or Punk does some wild shit like that or wins a tournament, the Karen army like suddenly takes over CFN. Everyone switches to Karen now. They want to try it, so I appreciate the free counter hit when I do challenge their -2. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you want to go -2 into EXDP, I'll eat that shit. Like, I don't care, because I know you don't get anything after it. But, like, I will challenge every -2 that character has, because it's all I can do. Otherwise, I die. So, like, please, like, if you see Bonchan use crouch medium kick after a -2 situation with shoulder, go right ahead. Please do the exact same thing. But I'm the idiot that's going to be pressing buttons. I promise you. I promise you you're never going to land that medium kick. I fucking promise you. Ugh,
I mean, that's actually a smart way to approach things, because people at Bonchan's level are thinking about these things in depth. Like, this is this type of player. I've logged in what he's been doing. Here's a chance that he'll do it. This is my risk reward in the situation. People in our ranks, they don't give a shit. They'll just throw that shit out because they're being stupid.
Right.
They're not doing it because it's smart or they have a predicated answer to everything. They're like, if I land this is okay. They're just doing it. And it's really funny is because, like, people are like, man, Street Fighter 5 is so easy. But it's like, you're not doing those minute, tiny things that, like, other players are doing and then combining them to make yourself a better player. That's why you're stuck at where you're at. That's why you plateaued, because you don't understand, like, oh, I was -2. Why did he press a button there? Maybe the risk reward was in a situation and he felt like he was going to do it. Like, or you're not reading your opponent better. There's so many more smaller things that go in this game because you can't rely on, like, OSs and things like that. Like, people don't know this, but I'm a big fan of, like, Street Fighter 3, like, heavily. Like, I love that game. Like, I'm not good at it, but I fucking love playing Third Strike. I fucking love Third Strike so much. There are so many OSs and so many, like, situations on Wake Up and stuff like that, like parries and things like that. There's so many different things to get you out of defensive situations, that get you out of, like, problems and things like that. It's so different than this game, but I like having not having to, like, rely on, like, oh, I have a parry and get me out of something. Like, I have to block. Like, I gotta block. I gotta hold this. I gotta make a decision. I have to read the opponent. I don't have a predicated answer that I can, like, kind of fall back on. Not saying that you can fall back on parries easily, but that's just, you have more options to do that, right? So, to me, I focus more on the player now, and that's what Street Fighter 5 wants. I prefer that kind of game a lot, where I can think about the person more than, if I put this OS in here, I'll get this, and then I run my game. Here, Vortex City, Tandem Engine with Seth, let's go. Yeah, like, that's personally me. Like, other people can like that stuff, but that's not my stuff.
Right.
That never was the type of game that I liked. I like what they did in Street Fighter 5, a lot more. So, I just think that there's a lot more depth in this game that people don't pull out at lower levels and mid levels. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's because of all the meaning about the game. It prevents people from getting better.
Yeah, I think that comes from, like, a higher level up within the FGC too. A lot of these players that, like, didn't like the game, and so they constantly shit talk on the game, even if they don't play it anymore. And so they drive the newer fan base away from the game. They drive, like, casual players away from the game, because the casual players, while they might not experience those specific, like, negative things, that, like, negative reinforcement is pushed upon them so much that they start to create those things in their head while they're playing the game. So then they start to roll into that, and they go, well, this game is shit because blah, 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 blah. Like, just repeated things that they've heard other people say. And while that may or may not be true, it doesn't matter, because it's their perspective that they've learned from someone else. They're not going to give the game a chance. And, like, people pile on the game because, some bumfuck that may or may not have been on a web show that you used to really like on a couch where they played with the other FGC members doesn't like the game anymore. And now he's off playing Tekken and Guilty Gear, so you're like, well, obviously those games are better, Mike Ross. So, so I don't know. It makes me crazy. It makes me crazy that, like, a lot of people within the FGC love the power and maybe not the power. They love the notoriety and the fame and how much people look up to them, like, while they're doing well. But they refuse to use that power and that fame and that notoriety and understand they also have a responsibility for the new generation of the FGC that is coming up behind them, that your words have effect. Whether or not you want it, if you want that fame, the other price of that fame is now you are leading the next generation into fighting games. And if your negativity and the way that you treat some fighting games because you don't like them turns that off, that could cancel a franchise forever. Because you get a casual fan base shitting on a game forever to the point where Capcom goes, clearly people don't like this. The area for Street Fighter is over. Like, it's done. And then they move on. And then they make Monster Hunter costumes forever. People go, remember Street Fighter? That was super cool. Now we're just hunting down dragons as Street Fighter characters. Like, it fucking happens. And
it's
makes
so sad. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just letting out a deep breath because I went on too long there. Yeah, but anyways.
No, I mean, I get you. And it's so funny because everyone, it's weird to see, like, people have clicks for games, right? Like, oh, I play Tekken. I play Street Fighter. Oh, I play Guilty Gear. And it's so weird because, like, you look at other games and how massive they are, and they're so big and they're prospering. And here we are having squabbles over what game we should play, shouldn't play, all this shit like that. But we're all better and bigger together. If we're all sitting in the same venue, we get bigger and better. And here's the thing: is like people play different games. Like most people don't play just one game, right?
Right.
So there's no reason to tell someone to not play anything else because we cross pollinate, and that makes everything bigger. Like if let's say there's a bracket for game A and game B, right? Game A is bigger, but game B is going to the same venue. Maybe people at game A will try game B, and they'll cross pollinate and they'll bring in more people. Maybe there are people from game A that their friends see that and they're like, oh, I like game A, but maybe I'll try game B. Yeah. They could make themselves bigger back and forth, even if there's a smaller niche or whatever. That's why I don't understand why people fight. I'm just going to say it. People fighting back and forth for Street Fighter V and Tekken and stuff like that, that's the corniest shit, man. That's so fucking corny. That shit's so damn... Yo, Tekken's more hype. Like, that's so corny, dog. Like, I'm glad that people love their game in any format. I love it. I think it's a beautiful thing when you love your game. But it's despicable when you down other games or do a comparison because now you're just using it for clout. You're just clout chasing. The love isn't pure. You're just using it to just try to justify your own love of the game. Maybe you don't love the game as much. Actually, if you gotta go and shit on other games like that, maybe you don't love the game as much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Every time that there's like there was a time, I forgot, maybe it was CWT last year. There was people like, oh man, Tekken's so great, and I'm like, yeah, man, that was a great finals. Tekken's so awesome to watch, and people are like, yeah, it's better than Street Fighter V, and I'm like, that's cool of you to have that opinion. I don't care. Like you can say that I think it's like this, but attack, oh man, Street Fighter V, you guys look at Street Fighter V, Tekken. If you're not watching Tekken, you're an idiot because you're watching Street Fighter. It's like, now you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Because now you've exposed yourself as a corny piece of shit. All right? You've exposed yourself. All these little pot shots, that, and obviously you're supposed to take pot shots at other games and stuff like that, or whatever it is. Yeah. But anytime people take, like, consistent pot shots, I don't care about a joke, by the way. You can make jokes, I don't care. Root Kid, all that stuff like that, whatever. Because I love Street Fighter V, but you can make jokes about Root Kid and all that garbage, whatever. I don't care. When you consistently do it, and the game is living in your head rent-free, you're corny. Like, you're absolutely corny. And you're exposing yourself as not a true fighting game fan. And I don't care where you're at in the pyramid of FGC, if you're at the top, and you're one of those top dudes that's like, well, I don't like this game, and I'm going to talk about it all the time. I'm going to use it as just like to kick around, that's still corny. It doesn't matter who you are. It's corny. It's always been corny and always will be corny. Focus on your game. Focus on the love of the games that you love and really promote those. And nobody says you have to go out there and like love Street Fighter V or Tekken or anything like that and promote those games if you don't want to. It would be appreciated if you retweeted something. Like, I don't give a shit about BB Tag, but I'll support players.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
The tournaments and stuff like that, more than happy to. I'll support every game out there, even if I don't play it or it's not my thing. Like, I don't really care about, Dead or Alive. But I will retweet some of that stuff because I know some people that love the game. Like, that's cool. Like, yo, you like your Dead or Alive? Go for it, man. You want the counter system? That's all on you, man. Not for me, but have fun. I hope you honestly having fun. Because the other way is like, man, I fucking hate Dead or Alive. Look at the titties on. Guys just pay. This also goes back into, I'm jumping around, but this is another like game versus game thing. When the Tekken versus Dead or Alive stuff came out, when Tekken came out with their frame data, when that whole thing started, the Dead or Alive people were like, we have free stuff in our training mode. And then in that tweet, it's just like Tekken and Dead or Alive people like fighting back and forth. Like, oh, you have to pay for training mode. Oh, you have to pay for titty costumes. And it's just like a back and forth of just embarrassment. I'm like, all of y'all are just embarrassing.
Fucking whack.
Just,
just
go play the game you like.
Yeah. I don't get that shit. When people are like, Twitch chat isn't the FGC, YouTube comments aren't the FGC. Are you sure? Because those are the exact same fucking things that I'm seeing on Twitter. So I think there might be some merit. Like, I think that is the FGC.
People.
Yeah, it's the exact same fuckers. Like, it's the exact same. Oh my god, people.
I was gonna say, like, the whole Tekken stuff, the whole Tekken thing, like, it also sucks because even within the community, when we want to sort out issues, and this kind of goes back to developer stuff, when that happened, all the people, there's plenty of, like, influencers and top-level people being like, what, you don't have $5 to pay for frame data? You're not a true Tekken fan. It's like, it's okay to have a different opinion about something. Like, you can hate or like the thing, but as long as you articulate yourself. When you go to the far end and say, you're not a true Tekken fan if you don't have $5 to pay for frame data, then you create this weird, crummy atmosphere where your game does no wrong. The developer's like, cool, I guess we can charge for frame data now because these influencers and top people are going to defend us no matter what. Let's do it. Instead of saying, okay, well, these people are being reasonable here, they're reasonable over here. Let's take some measured results. Like, it goes back into how, like, FGC Twitter is just so terrible. Everyone's fighting each other over stupid shit, whether it's game versus game, whether it's within the game, whether it's people just, like, in one game and just taking shots at other people's games, like doing that little cute shit like, chip kills are stupid. Like, just so much continuous fighting that has led to, like, these dumb conversations, and then everything else gets drowned out. And I'm jumping around again, mostly because I'm really tired in general, because I haven't had much sleep. But I do want to say that this rolls back into, like, content creation, where, like, I'm looking at my articles do pretty well. Like, so far they've been doing, but I'm watching other content creators out there, people that do care about their numbers, that are trying to make a living off of it, and they'll get, like, 5 or 6 retweets, right?
Yeah.
They'll get 5 or 6 likes, and they're putting their hard-earned time and effort, they're trying to make a living from this, and they get overshadowed by what FGC person has the nicest butthole. Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? But that gets more, like, traction, or some clout chasing, like, hey, everybody, Street Fighter 5 sucks! And it's like, you get, like, 300 fucking replies of a bunch of idiocy. Like, imagine if you took that same energy and spent it anywhere else. It baffles my mind. And but it also is, like, unsurprising, too.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck, man. Like, I'm happy we brought it full circle back to where we started, which is FGC Twitter is fucking whack. But, man, that shit makes me crazy. The one that's been grinding my fucking gears lately is the fake positivity FGC channels.
Oh, man.
Dude, look, shout out to FGC Dad. FGC Dad does a service, That guy's out there, and he's legitimately trying to help people because whoever he is, like, he's obviously a player in the scene, and he does try to, like, fly players out and do something. The ones with their corny-ass memes that are just like, you can do it, man. Like, no, don't worry. Like, you are the badass. Listen here, you golden motherfucker. God damn, man. Like,
man, I hate those Twitters.
Yeah.
Those role-playing Twitters. Do you remember the girlfriend Twitter?
Girlfriend Twitter fucking sucks, too. Oh, that was the worst.
Oh.
That was the worst. You know what's funny, though? That girlfriend Twitter followed me, like, for, like, a hot second. For, like, maybe 5 seconds. And And then I think they realized they bit off more than they could chew with me. So I was like, shut the fuck up. And then, like, immediately blocked my ass. But then, like, they followed No Good Citizen and, like, a bunch of other people. And, like, that account sucked. FGC, what was it? Goddamn, FGC Boss, he was okay sometimes.
Yeah, he was okay.
But, like, mostly he sucked, too. Like...
Yeah, I mean, but there were times where he would make jokes and people would use it to shit on other games, and I'm like, man, don't do that shit, man. Don't do that shit.
This is an obvious parody account, and y'all are just like, see, like, look at this funny Twitter. Like, shut the fuck up. Could you imagine if the motherfuckers were handing Weird Al Yankovic Grammys for making fun of other people's songs? Like, clearly it's a parody. Shut the fuck up. Like,
right.
Let's just have our jokes. Like, can we just have our jokes and, like, haha, like, that's cool. Move on. But for the love of fucking Christ, man.
Not do it for like 2 years. Like that, man. It's just so much focus on that kind of stuff. And those tweets will get traction and retweets. Meanwhile, someone's like, hey guys, like go to find like, you know, like a local or something, and it gets like no response, like no response at all. Like, but they have to like tag someone in the scene and hope that they get seen so that they can actually like get help finding a local. Or maybe like a YouTube video where someone's like, this is how you play neutral in Guilty Gear or something like that. We'll get like 20 or 30 views. Meanwhile, someone's like, man, I can see a, you know, Soul's butthole or something like that. And that gets like 300,000.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about buttholes. I don't know.
No, it's all right.
But
I get it.
But you get the difference. And it's weird that I'll look at other... Because I'm starting to dabble in other, you know, genres again, just like looking at them. Like I'll look at like Overwatch and how they stuff, and obviously they have a ton of memes and stuff like that. But when it comes to the game discussion, they still have a ton of people retweeting their stuff, and maybe that's because they have a giant size. But I think the way that they do content, they look at content's just, you know, different, and they would support it more.
Yeah.
And again, I'm lucky, and I feel like the reason why my content's even supported is because I have a good support system. Everyone that's out there that retweets my stuff or likes my stuff, like they're the ones that have helped me get to where I'm at, and I really appreciate everyone that's been. If you've ever liked or retweeted my stuff, either just one or two of you, it means the world to me. Like I fucking love it. Like I don't do any of this stuff for money. Like the only thing I get paid for is Red Bull, but somehow the support system of everybody like reading my stuff has justified me making the content, even as a thing. However, if I didn't have that support system, if I didn't go grinding and making connections and meeting people and befriending people, and if I wasn't like friends with like the people that run the Capcom Twitter account so that they follow me and can retweet my Street Fighter stuff or did stuff directly for Red Bull, my shit wouldn't get no views. Like, you know, like, so it's like that for a lot of content creators where they don't get that support system. And if you're watching this, I want you to, even if it's someone's like 30-minute long video or whatever, if you have to skip through a couple of things or come back to it later, just watch it, just look at it, just read it all the way through. Go over to the end. Like, just at least try. You know, the thing is with a lot of not Street Fighter, a lot of the fighting game content is that anything about like some like drama is going to get tons of views. That's why Event Hubs is the way it is, right? Event Hubs is the monster that we all made because we keep going back to that spot and giving them the clicks and the views. That's fine if you guys want to keep clicking and whatever with that shit. But for the little guys out there, the other people out there that are making their content, no matter what it is, give them that support too. Give them the retweet, the like. Click on the actual link. Actually read it and interact with it. I'm telling you, you're missing out on some good content out there, people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the FGC and where I am today if I didn't give FGC content a chance in the first place. Like that shit drew me in because I was so casual in my fighting game experience for the longest time until I happened upon some Super Couch Fighters videos and some videos by Brett Bayonne, and that really like drew me into like wanting to play competitively. And I know there are a bunch of people out there who are like, man, I wish I could do like something to help my scene, but I don't know what. It's really just as easy as just like a couple clicks, man, and like 10 minutes of your day. Like instead of like instead of arguing on Twitter, like, take the 10 minutes that you would argue with someone on Twitter and, like, go watch some good content. Like,
right, exactly. Like, please.
Way more constructive and, like, way better for the scene in itself. To actually, like, you're gonna spend 20 minutes on Twitter like flipping through, waiting to see the next like R34 of a character that you want to beat off to. Like, instead, like, go read a St. Cola article. Like, it's not that hard. Fuck, man. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, like, you know where to find St. Cola. The shit's on screen right now. And if you don't, it's @_Saint Cola. Like, go read the man's stuff. It's just, I don't. Hot damn.
It's difficult, man. It's very difficult because, like, you know, and one of the reasons why I want people to interact with the content more is because I want them to start critiquing and start formulating the content that we have. Because, I mean, there is content out there that's not good, right? But if, like, let's say, I've had people approach me and be like, oh, well, this isn't that good, or this isn't this, or whatever, or they'll have questions about that. I am open to people coming to me about content and saying, why did you do this? Or I have a question about this, or maybe you should have did this. Like, I am more than open to that stuff. Someone actually came up to me about the Red Bull that I write, and they're like, the articles that you write are good, but they're not your usual, like, technical stuff, because sometimes I'll write something more technical or whatever. They're a little bit more for the masses and stuff, and I'm like, and I'll explain to people, like, why I write something the way I write, because I usually have a reason. Like, in terms of Red Bull articles, the reason why I make them so open and broad is because I want people who are not FGC people to read them. I want people who are outside or on the fence to say, oh man, that's kind of sick. That's kind of cool. I want to get into this. I want to get more into this. Like, you know, like, it's not really maybe for the FGC with the Red Bull articles, but it's for people outside, like, as like an advert for them to come in and join us and see what we're about, or get like a taste of it. So they get hungry and then they start watching our stuff and reading our stuff. So, like, I want people to interact with the content more because that means there's more critique. Now, I said critique. I didn't say be a little, you know, bitch and say, your shit sucks, bro. This is wrong because I think it's wrong. Like, don't be a little bitch. Do it nicely. Articulate yourself. Interact with the content. Because the more that we do that, the more that we're gonna, you know, strengthen our content and really dive down to what we want. Because honestly, content creators for the FGC, there's not really a pathway of like what's working. Because one person could play ranked on Twitch right now. Like, I can look at my Twitch channel right now, and I can see that someone's playing ranked for 300 something people, right?
Yep.
And another person's playing ranked for 13 people. Just drastically damn different.
Yeah.
Absolutely different. So people need to just interact more with the content and, you know, like, you know, criticize, be critical, but be nice about it. Don't be asshole. And just support the content creators, because honestly, we're the gateway into how more people are going to come through. Like, your play is nice, but if they're not being exposed, like, people on the outside aren't being exposed to see how awesome you play. If they're not seeing it in an article or a video or any of that stuff, it won't fucking matter.
Right.
It won't matter at all. Like, like, no one's gonna care that you hit some sick ass combo if nobody recorded it and showed it off and explained why it's important. Like, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, like, not to toot my own fucking horn, but, like, the reason I like my show and the way that I do things is this is my fucking pirate ship, right? Like, everything that I want done, I have to do. I have to pay for broadband, or for, like, storage service, for the RSS feed to go out, shit like that. Like,
right.
Everything I do is my fucking thing. But if it, like, and so, like, if I want something recorded, I'll record the shit, I'll put it out there for people to see. Like, if people want to see it, like, I will fucking boots on the ground, like, make sure this shit is out there for people. And, like, a lot of FGC content, you really have to do that. Like, if you want your shit out there, you can't hope that, like, when you start out, one of your 3 viewers on Twitch is gonna sit there and go, like, oh yeah, I'll clip that for you, man, no matter how fucking hype you think it is. Like, clip that shit, highlight it, put it out there. Like, make a name for yourself. Like, market yourself. The reason that I enjoy doing my show the way that I do the show, and, like, why I call it my pirate ship, is because we are not beholden to sponsors. You know, my fucking sponsor is the company that I work for. Like, by day, I'm turning metal, and on the weekends, sometimes they let me go to FGC events. Nice. And that's why I had the North Central Machine jersey, because they sponsor me there.
Right.
But they don't give a fuck about any of this. Like, I could go on here and I could say whatever fucking kind of wild shit, and they're just like, we don't give a fuck about your video games. Like, we don't care. Go have fun.
Don't play your little virtual toys over there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't give a shit. And so, like, But that's the way I market myself. It's like, this is my pirate ship. This is the way that I do things. So if you're going to put yourself out there as a brand, you really have to like start for yourself and market yourself as whatever you want the world to see, and not hope the world sees it and crafts an image for you. Because it's never going to happen that way. You will be another faceless husk thrown into the fucking FGC Twitter ranks, and you'll just never see anything come from it. Which it sucks, but it is what it is. Like, you have to market yourself if you want to be a top player, or even a sponsored player, or even someone that anyone gives a fuck about. You know, Hi-Fight has done nothing but create content for people while traveling every now and then. But I mean, the dude legitimately was just like, I care about the FGC and I want to see things, get exposure. And so he did it. Like, that's all he does. All he does is fucking watch, like, FGC videos and share that shit and put it out for the world. And people love him for it because he actually spends the time and dedication in order to grow his brand of what he wants as, like, an FGC, like, Twitter conglomerate. Like, everything is there. And, fuck, man. Shout out to Hi-Fight. I don't know.
He's so great. I want to give a shout out to him too. This dude. So when I put out my content reel, my articles, or whatever, he is always retweeting. He's always liking. He's always supporting. That person has put in so much work in the FGC. And then you know what? What pains me is I see people, they'll tag Hi-Fight like, "Yo Hi-Fight, can you retweet my stuff?" Like, I hope that you're giving the same respect to him. I hope you're donating to his Patreon or buying any of his footsie shirts, any of that stuff. Oh, at any point, giving him something back, because he puts in so much work that no one else did. For years, no one else was doing this. No one else was on social media saying, we should probably put up a lot of clips and stuff like that. And now he gets thousands of views, and people go to him for the exposure, for the assistance. And this guy has built himself up by himself. Yeah. No one was like, you know what, Hi-Fight, you should probably do this, this, and this. He's like, you know what, I see a niche, I'm going to go for it, and he deserves every prop and then some. But you know what, here's the thing. Hi-Fight's a great dude, he deserves it. But I want to give props to you, all right? I'm going to cut you a promo right now. Because here's some real shit right now. I'm about to hit y'all, everyone listening, I'm going to put this up on Twitter, I don't give a shit. I'm going to hit everybody with this right now. This is the kind of podcast y'all should be listening to, all right? It's great to hear about whatever top player, who cares? But you need to hear about the people that are on the ground floor making things work. The people that are down here with us, we're driving the community. People like Flash out here, driving the community with this kind of content that is enjoyable. You can pick up, you can listen to. You're going to hear all the different flavors of different types of players that you interact with every day. There's people on here like Brian, right? Like, I know Brian personally. He's a great guy. I love Brian. Like, I look at the screen, I see Brian's little picture. I'm like, that dude's awesome. Golden Fate. My bad. Golden Fate, I met him at EVO. Was cheering him on and his thing. You get to know more about these players, these people that you hang out with all the time. This is the good kind of content that we need in the FGC. We need that kind of content. We don't need, like, oh, well, what top 5 video game characters would you marry if they're real? We need real stuff like this. So the stuff that you're doing, no matter how many views that you get, this is the stuff that we need. And I hope that no matter what happens with this, no matter where you take it, know that it's appreciated. Like, even if it's 1 to 1,000 or 1,000,000, whatever people, that you've impacted people enough that this is appreciated and that your time is worth. Because I know it's hard for content creators to say, oh, man, I don't know if this is it or whatever. What I'm doing is like on the right path, or if it's like anyone's like listening. But even if it affects one person, it's worth it. I'm just giving a shout out to you. You've been putting in the work. Look at how many people you've already caught, and more to come.
Yeah, way more to come. We've got some good ass guests. We've got Seth Series coming up on Thursday. Grand Tiger Hollow next week. He's a good friend of mine who's been very casually into fighting games, but getting better. He's a platinum ed, so shouts to him. And then after that, we have Thomas Winkley from the Utah FGC. We got Loading Pat from That One Video Gamer will be on soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. But thank you, man. Thank you. The kind words mean a lot, especially doing this sometimes. Like, I have a lot of doubts. Sometimes I walk away from these interviews and I go, I fucked that one up. Like, when I did the Shaper of Stories interview, I walked away going, I fucked that one up. Like, I was just like, I walked away going, like, I didn't ask proper questions. I stumbled over my words. Like, there was a big opportunity, and I just kind of let it slip through my hands because I didn't articulate myself well enough. But thank you, man. I do appreciate the kind words. Like, I've never started this going, I hope people watch this and, like, say nice things, you know? I started this because I wanted to try to give a voice to people within the FGC that never really get a lot of speaking time or able to promote themselves or time out there. So, like you said, if even I can impact just one person, that's all that matters. On that note, I think we've been going for a while now. I'll let you go. I will bring you back in for another show in the future if you would have the time.
Dog, I will make the time. to chop it up with you, I'll make the time.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Well, look, maybe we'll just get together a combo breaker next year. We'll just do one. We'll just do one in real life. We'll get ourselves a nice crowd. I'll fucking buy room for a booth, and we'll just.
Hell yeah! I'll bring some equipment. Like whatever I got to do to make this, I'm gonna do it.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! All right, my friend. Well, look, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the internet if they want to track you down?
You can catch me at _St. Cola. That's my Twitter. On my Twitter, in the profile, it's got my Medium page. Myself on Red Bull, you just have to watch out on my Twitter to find it because I don't really have like a dedicated page. But look out for my content and follow the Midwest FGC people, Sack the Box, BG Callisto, Dual Cabin, Seth Series, all the people that are on this show as well. Follow them as well. We're all connected, man. If you find one of them, you find me. But I'm just happy if you find any of us, to be honest.
Look, and also if you want to buy, what is it? It's Midwest Movement Apparel is the clothing site. All right, Midwest Movement Apparel to get these slick shirts that you will see on screen right now. The Midwest Movement, the big chillin' shirts. They're all over the Midwest and all over the Chicago scene. Pick one up. Support the Midwest. If you want to find me anywhere online, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pornhub, at Sriracha Flash. You'll find me all across the good websites. If you guys want to be on the show, hit me up. As you can see, this is episode 28. We've had 27 beautiful guests, and then the beautiful St. Cola on tonight. But if you want to be on the show, it's that easy. Just hit me up. Tell me that you got a story, or you want to talk, or you want to get your message out there. There's no prerequisite. Literally, one of the guys I'm having on next week has 2 Twitter followers. But I love the dude because he's a good dude, and I want his story out there. So I will put your shit out there if you want to be out there. It's not that hard. With that being said, I've been Sriracha Flash. This has been St. Cola, and y'all have a wonderful night.
Peace.
All right, so we're gonna do this. We're still technically live, but I'm gonna cut this part out. Then I'm gonna go